It all started with a mandatory sync meeting scheduled for precisely 9:13 a.m. on a random Tuesday. Company invites never start at odd minutes unless leadership is trying to throw you off balance before delivering bad news. I stepped into conference room B, greeted by the sterile scent of new carpet glue and impending corporate betrayal. Sitting across the table was Gary from Human Resources, grinning like a used car salesman, alongside my manager, Arthur. I had dedicated 12 loyal years to Arthur, yet he refused to look me in the eye, staring intently at his lukewarm coffee. Gary slid a thin folder across the table, explaining in polished corporate jargon that my position had been declared redundant to streamline operations. In reality, they simply wanted to replace my senior salary with a cheaper entry-level worker who would work double the hours for half the pay. Arthur nodded silently like a malfunctioning bobblehead, completely unwilling to defend my decade of service. Gary offered a paltry severance package covering just 2 weeks of pay, claiming it was standard procedure. When I opened my mouth to ask for a logical explanation, Arthur abruptly stood up, announced that Gary would walk me out, and hurried out the door. Being escorted out like a criminal after building 3 whole departments felt like a slap in the face. They thought they could erase my entire career with a cold handshake, but they had no idea they were about to make the most expensive mistake of their fiscal year. Back in my apartment, I sat on the living room floor surrounded by cardboard boxes holding 12 years of my life. My golden retriever, Barnaby, rested his head on my knee as if he understood the injustice of the situation. I refused to let myself spiral into despair, so I spent the entire night going through old employment files and company records. Buried deep inside an accordion folder from my first week at the company, I stumbled upon my original offer letter signed back in 2012. Halfway down page 6, tucked inside the dense legal jargon of the stock incentive agreement, I found an astonishing clause. It explicitly stated that all unvested company shares would immediately and fully vest if the employee was terminated without cause. During my dismissal, Gary had repeatedly emphasized that my termination was purely structural and not based on my work performance. That meant every single share granted to me over 12 years of service was legally mine right now. I immediately snapped photos of the document, saved backup copies in 3 separate cloud drives, and began searching for an aggressive local employment lawyer. The next morning, I walked into the modest office of legal specialist Brenda Vance, a fearless attorney known for taking down corporate giants. Her cluttered office smelled of strong espresso and paper, showing zero interest in corporate fluff or empty promises. After reviewing my original contract alongside the pathetic severance agreement Gary had handed me, a sharp smile spread across her face. Brenda explained that the executive team had committed a massive oversight by trying to hide my vested equity behind a cheap severance agreement. She immediately drafted a formal legal demand letter addressed to the chief executive officer, detailing the exact contractual clause they had violated. Instead of asking nicely, we demanded the full liquid payout of every single share owed to me under the original agreement. When the executive team received Brenda's letter early Thursday morning, absolute chaos broke out across the corporate office. My former coworker text-messaged me mid-afternoon, revealing that emergency meetings were being called and leadership was panicking over potential financial liability. My former boss Arthur even tried calling my personal phone at 7 a.m., practically hyperventilating as he begged me to drop the legal action. Arthur frantically explained that my unvested shares represented nearly 13% of the company's recent equity pool, creating a massive accounting nightmare for their upcoming audit. I calmly reminded him that ignoring contract details was his choice, wished him luck with his emergency meetings, and hung up the phone. By Friday morning, Brenda and I were walking into the main boardroom for a formal settlement conference with the executive board. The chief executive officer sat at the head of the table, flanked by 4 defense lawyers and a pale, visibly shaking Gary. Gary stammered that the equity clause was an outdated template error that was never meant to be included in my final exit paperwork. Brenda slammed her heavy leather briefcase onto the mahogany table, pointing out that administrative carelessness does not invalidate a binding legal contract. She gave the executive board a firm ultimatum: either wire the full multi-million-dollar value of the shares by 5 p.m., or face a public lawsuit that would expose their fraudulent exit practices to investors. The chief executive officer looked at his lead attorney, realized they had zero defense, and ordered the legal team to prepare the wire transfer documents immediately. 4 hours later, a notification popped up on my phone confirming a 7-figure deposit directly into my bank account. I gave Barnaby an extra treat, packed up my apartment, and closed that chapter of my life forever knowing I had fought back and won. Wow, if you are still here listening to my voice right now, you are genuinely a core member of our amazing community, a true legend of the break room. Hey everyone, this is Clara from Clara Family Lab, and I just wanted to pause for a second to tell you how grateful I am for every single one of you. Storytelling is my passion, but bringing these intense, emotional, and satisfying human experiences to life for you means the world to me. Now, I have 2 quick questions for you because I love reading every single one of your comments. First, from 1 to 100, what percentage rating would you give today's story? Did that ultimate legal comeback give you goosebumps? Second, please drop the name of your country in the comments below. I want to see where my incredible audience is tuning in from around the globe. If you enjoyed this journey today, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join our Clara Family Lab family right now. By subscribing, you ensure you will never miss our latest, high-stakes dramatic stories and shocking life lessons the moment they drop. Thank you so much for your warm support, for watching today.